systems are offline.
eRadio Live, powered by TCS Wi-Fi.
It is just after 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. You're on eRadio Live, and it is time indeed for Tech Thursday. Kaine joins us again here in the studio live. Remember, if you want to get in touch, send us a message. Maybe there's something specific you would like us to discuss, maybe next week. 081-060-1640, or just click on the green icon on the left-hand side of our website, eRadioSA.com. Kaine, how's it going? Nice to have you back.
Yeah, good afternoon, Eon. Thanks so much for having me back on another fantastic Tech Thursday. These are always the highlight of my weeks, going over all these new tech advancements that we're going through, especially here in South Africa at the moment, and we've got some interesting content in the lineup this week.
We have so much today, and then we still have to listen to music as well. How are we going to do it?
We need hacks. We need to figure it out.
I think we'll try to keep it short, and we'll also not wabba too much.
We're good at that.
No, but we must laugh, because Tech Thursday contains laughter, and if you don't have that, then you don't have Tech Thursday.
Yeah, it's the most important meal of the day.
Yeah. So who's going to start, Kaine?
Right, I'll set it off. We're jumping straight into it with Huawei, who's going to be building some cloud infrastructure in Cape Town. So obviously, Huawei having faced quite a lot of setbacks in the last 2020 with, getting banned from being able to be on the Android Play Store, and banned from using Android as a back-end software. They've had to come out with their own operating system, and now they've actually told us that their focus is on availability zones within South Africa. So there is one in Johannesburg already, but they're going to be building another one in Cape Town, and that's word from Stone He, president of Huawei Cloud in Southern Africa, who was speaking to journalists during a virtual media briefing. South Africa, he said, is quite important for Huawei's global cloud computing roadmap, as it eyes grabbing market share from hyperscale cloud market leaders such as Amazon Web Services and Microsoft. So this is even further outside of their scope of mobile phones. And they're actually focusing on the Huawei cloud systems, which generated a revenue of about $5 million USD from South Africa, but small contributions were from Nigeria and Kenya. So there's clearly a market for advancing their cloud computing systems and actually scaling it here in South Africa. They're also focused on Durban. Its first availability zone launched in Johannesburg in 2020, with Cape Town zone soon to follow, and possibly even Durban in the coming months. So it's very exciting actually how Huawei is actually pinpointing South Africa. I mean, the goal here globally at the moment is let's try and get into Africa, and what a better place to start than in one of the wealthier regions of Africa with tech-savvy consumers. You're not going to have a lot of people from upper African regions utilizing a lot of cloud computing infrastructure if there's not a lot of businesses that require it and all that sort of stuff. So very interesting to see the scope on South Africa actually.
Very, very interesting. And I will stay in South Africa, where you probably know that Oracle cut off Eskom following a payment dispute. Now, Oracle, as you also probably know, Kaine, they run a lot of software things in the back end of Eskom that you don't necessarily see. So they would probably, when you can see whether the substations are offline or online, what the usage is, all those fancy things. And then there was a payment dispute. An audit by Oracle revealed abuse by Eskom, and the software giant initially claimed Eskom underpaid by 7.3 billion rand. And following discussions between the parties, the amount was then lowered to 380 million. And Eskom saying, no, we actually owe 166 million. So they keep on going lower and lower. And Oracle said, no, screw that BS, and they cut them off.
Jeepers. And I actually remember reading a while ago a piece about that, and Eskom was saying how integral the Oracle software is to maintaining its systems and things like that. And now that Oracle has pulled the plug, they're saying, no, actually, they weren't so integral to their systems. They can handle it.
Because we had these articles going around saying that if these people pull the plug, it's over for us. We're going to be in the dark.
I feel like it was Eskom's way of trying to force Oracle to keep it afloat. And then as soon as the narrative changed and they realized, oh, wow, this is really out the window. We're not going to be able to use this. We can't lose faith in our consumers. Now they're trying to plug up what is quite a massive hole in their sinking ship.
It's like, hey, it's all right. We can function without you now. All of a sudden, I'm just wondering. These articles also fear-mongering articles. It loves to. I mean, they thrive on sensation and all that stuff. Especially one of the tech sites. They usually have these articles, worst-case scenario articles, and what they say, it never happens.
No, it never does, because for that to happen, I mean, Eskom would really have to turn over and just like let themselves die, and that's not going to be. I mean, any business of that nature or scale should have a plan B for such a scenario, especially leading up to the possible plug pull. You gotta hope for the best, pray for the worst kind of thing. I'm sure they have a backup plan.
Yeah, well, apparently now all of a sudden they've got contingency plans where they developed it in preparation for this scenario. The question is, how long can they carry on like this? Oracle did not comment on it. Oracle is a software company in the States, I believe. It's quite big.
It's like the Java for businesses, basically.
Yeah. They don't just do these things, but they obviously developed special software, and they do a lot of stuff that inherently maintains security and the essential function of systems and things like that. So it's a very important integral piece of software for governments and things like that who are utilizing that to perform actions and track actions on a larger than life scale. It'll be very interesting to see how they cater to that problem. I hope they come right, but pray for the best, hope for the worst. Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, but I saw a few screenshots of the software that they use, and it looks pretty cool. Actually, I wouldn't mind using it.
Was that the Oracle software? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember
playing with it a bit.
I looked at one of their live streams that they were showing to show how power consumption was hitting their megawatt facilities, and they had this very
gorgeous, beautiful piece of software.
It's like primarily built for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I wish I could.
Just imagine the power, pardon the pun, the power that you feel operating that software. Hey, you guys going off now? You guys going off?
No, 100%. I mean, geez, I wonder what they're going to do now that that's been. Because, I mean, it's not. You can't just quickly make a plan B. I just don't understand how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any substitute software that they can use.
It's not it's not like Hootsuite for social media pages. You can't just find an alternative on Google, It's a big problem.
It's a custom-made thing, absolutely.
If I was them, I would have gone to one of the universities, particularly ones that focus on software engineering, and I would try and work with them as a last resort. I wonder if they would do something like that.
And that's why we need you as president. When is that going to happen?
I think you have to be like 40 or something ridiculous just to apply or nominate yourself.
You need to be really old, Kaine.
Yo, no, I'm way too young there, eh?
Yeah.
Way too inexperienced. I think I was reading even something about someone was talking about Cyril Ramaphosa and him coming into power, and they had said that before he can do that, he needs to go and make money and then come back and try and become the president, because then he becomes immune to bribery. And I thought that was very interesting, because Cyril Ramaphosa does actually have a lot of successful businesses. He does actually have a reasonable amount of money that he's made from his own initiative. I mean, it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it is really cool. Yeah, so I wonder what's happening next.
No, absolutely. So next on our Tech Thursday show, we're talking about, would you have guessed, almost no one in South Africa is buying electric cars.
Okay, well, I can understand that, because they're worried how they're going to charge the bloody thing.
Well, that's definitely a big problem. But also, the only electric car registrations in Africa, a continent with 1.2 billion people, were exclusively in South Africa and totaled just 1,509 cars in 2020. So in the whole of Africa, all the electric cars are in South Africa, and there's only 1,509 of them. Europe and China dominate the world market for electric cars, but there are still very few electrified vehicles on the roads in large markets like Russia, South America, and Africa. Europe sold more new electrified vehicles than China for the first time in 2020, and between them, the two markets are home to more than 70,000 of the 9.9 million electrified cars sold so far.
Kay, did you bring a chainsaw
We got someone trying to cut weeds with a blender.
Did you? Oh, this is hilarious. Oh my gosh, this is live radio for you, eh?
There you go.
Just to prove that we're live.
It gotta be in South Africa with the weed whacker.
Yeah, that guy just carries on. Somebody's actually asking on the WhatsApp line, is somebody cutting grass?
That's
Love it.
crazy.
Love
That's
it.
crazy. I wonder if you'll ever find an electric lawnmower. I
Yeah.
wonder if there's more electric lawnmowers in South Africa.
So
than
I can actually
electric
smell the
cars.
grass here. In the studio. Oh,
No,
this is
that's very
hilarious.
interesting. And speaking of electric cars, Tesla was in an accident with no one driving, killing 2 people.
That's
So-
actually what I was afraid of. Kay.
Yeah. Apparently, what happened was that the car was driving on an assisted driving function, and instead of making the turn to turn right, they just went straight and crashed into what was a tree or something. And
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. It's hilarious. Sorry.
Yeah, so Tesla's car crashed into a tree, and 2 passengers were actually killed during the ordeal. And the weird thing is, obviously, no one was driving it. So no one was driving the vehicle. It burned for 4 hours, and it took 110,000 liters of water to extinguish the fire, which burned for 4 hours. I mean, can you believe trying to put out a fire that's burning for 4 hours?
No.
No, it's not. I mean, how do you keep yourself away from something like that? But what Elon Musk said, he defended it by saying the safety record of his company's vehicles are now approaching a 10 times lower chance of an accident than the average vehicle. So even though they crashed, they still maintain a 10 times lower chance of an accident than the average motor vehicle. But when they do crash, it's an extreme problem, specifically with their battery packs and things like that. But apparently a lot of people, especially where there are more electric cars, are using it as more of a badge to say, you know, I'm driving to work in a car that no one is driving. And what it does is it creates opportunity for unnecessary crashes and things like that, because instead of sitting in your driver's seat, you're sitting in your passenger seat and in the back seat instead of actually sitting in the driver's seat.
No, man. Come on.
And then you crash.
No.
So big problems.
No, that's not cool. But it's very, very sad that people had to die because of that, you know.
Yeah, but also a lot of the rules of flying and the laws of flying and driving are unfortunately written in blood. They're written because people
right.
crashed,
You're absolutely
or
right.
there was a big mistake, or the engine stopped working in your single propeller airplane, or whatever the case may be. That is what brings rules and regulations into the industry for commercial businesses to follow, which I thought was very interesting. So Tesla, obviously, even though they have a 10 times lower average of crashing the vehicle, they still have to actually try and figure out how to stop such a catastrophic fire, because you need 110,000 liters of water to put out your burning car. I mean, you're filling up a large swimming pool. Like, you're 100% emptying your 25 meter swimming pool on that.
No, man. That's not cool.
You're better off driving the Tesla into the pool. Just take it straight there. sharp right into the ocean or something. Jesus, I don't
Listen,
know.
I must tell you, all the stress I've had this entire week, it just all just vanished now with all the laughter here. This is definitely the highlight of my week. Let's go for a break, a music break. Got some David Scott and Aurora coming up at 3:17. Then when we come back, we will talk about some more tech stuff, and very interesting also, new lighting regulations will phase out fluorescent tubes, fluorescent light bulbs in South Africa. I actually like that because I'm pro LED. I'm sure you are too.
Save money.
Why are you still using those ugly lights?
Yeah, the yellow.
Those lights are all awful, and they're also very bad for the environment, just in case you didn't know. I'm sure people knew.
Definitely.
Yes, so right, let's get into some music, and then when we come back here on Tech Thursday, where we also cutting grass today. And it's time for us to carry on with Tech Thursday. Joined here in studio, absolute mayhem. We've got Kaine and our grass cutter now stopped doing his job. But yes, look, our next story is about fluorescent lights. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate these fluorescent tubes. The reason being, it's been a hate or pet, what do you call it?
Pet peeve.
Pet peeve of mine for years. The reason being, it makes you look even worse than you do. Have you ever checked yourself in the mirror with those harsh fluorescent lights?
You look like a ghost.
I sound drunk today.
Tongue twisted.
I already look like a ghost. With those lights, I look like a poltergeist.
Like the worst absolute ghost.
It is terrible. So anyway, I'm so glad when I actually saw that the South African National Energy Development Institute, SANEDI, says the new specifications are aimed at improving the safety, performance and energy efficient usage of light bulbs here in South Africa. So they want to phase them out. I thought that was already happening.
I thought that would happen more naturally, because LEDs are very cheap. They're low power consumption. Maybe they just don't have the respect, They people don't appreciate them, or they don't know about how more useful they are.
I think we need to create some awareness for LEDs. But I also, you don't have to replace your entire light fitting. I don't know if you saw, Kaine, you now get LED bulbs that are in the shape of the one that you are replacing. So even a tube.
So it's a fluorescent with LEDs, basically.
It's basically just a tube, and then inside there's a strip right through with LEDs.
So it works with the fitting.
Yeah,
but
everything.
No, that's very clever.
So you don't have to replace your entire light fitting. You can actually, it still looks the same as well. The nice thing is it doesn't flicker like the fluorescent tubes do, and also it's instant light. They always start off all dim and then they go brighter.
Yeah,
those ones are instant
on.
light.
No, absolutely, and I think also people might have this preference that they prefer the fluorescent because it casts a greater span of light opposed to a bulb. But that is a good alternative for anyone who would have a fluorescent fitting, to just replace their fluorescent fitting with an LED, save like 10 times on the price of electricity that you're paying to keep the same amount of area lit, if not more, from the LED. I mean, it's a good investment in my book.
And those bulbs those bulbs last much longer. Also, the LEDs much longer, and they save even more electricity as well.
Yeah.
And people say, no, I can't replace all my lights because the LEDs are so expensive. They're not. Those prices have actually come down.
Yeah, no, and the fluorescents are even quite expensive at about 400 on a tube.
So I wouldn't miss them. You have until the end of April anyway to comment on the recently gazetted specifications, which could change the country's lighting standards. If it goes through as planned, then fluorescent bulbs may no longer be allowed to be sold.
Wow.
So you won't ever see them again.
You're going to see out of sales stock.
If it pops, your light is finished forever. It'll be in a museum.
Until you go get an LED fluorescent tube.
People don't know this. They're like, I can't put the small LED thing in my tube thing. What do you call that?
The ballast tube.
Yeah.
The ballast.
Yeah, I can't put it in that ballast thing. I can't put it in there. It won't fit. You can. Just ask your local lighting store.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a smaller town, it might be more difficult, but alternatively, you could probably just find it on Take-A-Lot or something.
Yes, you can, absolutely. I actually checked, Kaine. You can.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
you see, that's very interesting.
Yes. What have you got for us next?
Next, we're looking at Apple, who was recently targeted in a ransomware hack. So,
Whoa.
the ransomware amount is for $50 million. And as Apple was revealing its newest line of iPads and flashy new iMacs on Tuesday, one of its primary suppliers was enduring a ransomware attack from a Russian operator claiming to have stolen blueprints of the US company's latest products. The ransomware group Revil, also known as Sodi Nakobi, published a blog on its dark website early on Tuesday in which it claimed to have infiltrated the computer network of Quanta Computer. The Taiwan-based company is a key supplier to Apple manufacturing, mostly MacBooks. It similarly produces goods for the likes of HP, Facebook, and Google. Revil's public face on the dark web, a user on the cybercrime forum XSS, who goes by the name Unknown, announced on Sunday that the ransomware group was on the cusp of declaring its largest attack ever. The post was made in Russian on a channel where the Revil group recruits new affiliates. Very interesting and very, very nerve-wracking for someone like Apple, because they claim that they have to make the ransomware payment by the 1st of May.
Ish.
And if they don't make the payment every single day, they're releasing blueprints of their newest product offerings. Oof. And they've already released 1 or 2,
That's
and they're going to
blackmail.
keep doing it. Yeah, so as soon as the products stop getting released, Apple's paid $50 million, and so this industry continues to bloom, this hack and ransomware kind of strategy. You have to be careful, and for especially like big tech firms like this, the normal consumer has never had to thought about protecting an idea such as a blueprint. When someone like Apple's there, and it's funny because you see they've clearly been hacked, and the first thing that they always say is, we're upgrading our security to make sure that this data breach never happens again. But it's too late. You've been wrecked. You've been delivered.
Sure, that's really bad.
And they're in a bit of a predicament now. So either the newest Apple products will be on your YouTube feed under DIY. So you can make your own MacBook if you have all the stuff that you need. Imagine that. Or they're going to pay $50 million, and these ransomware hackers are going to have quite a big spotlight on them.
Now, moving on, some more Apple news for you, Kaine. Apple launched a new accessory called the AirTag that will find physical items like bags, wallets, and keys, entering a market with competitors including Tile and Samsung. The accessory, announced on Tuesday at Apple's product event, looks like a small white and metal puck and can attach to a keychain by way of a leather sleeve with a clip. The company says it will sell the individual AirTag for $29 or in packs of 4 for $99. The gadget will be available from the end of April. The accessory will work with an updated version of the Find My app on all of the company's major devices. So that's pretty cool. So you put it in your handbag, for example, and then you can track your handbag wherever you go.
Yeah, no, that's very clever.
I didn't even think of that.
A friend of mine were actually discussing creating key rings or something that you can use to kind of ping the location of a device.
Because we're always looking for, especially your keys. Put it on your keys.
Yeah, put on your
always
key
looking
rings,
for your keys or your handbag.
Car keys.
But you can't for your phone, because then you need your phone, then you need your computer.
That's very useful. I can imagine that as a birthday present will be quite appreciated. I'd imagine, I wonder if you probably need an Apple phone to use it. Eh?
Yep. Yeah.
You're gonna see new Apple phones being sold with no charger or earphones, but you got your AirTags. It comes with 3 free AirTags. And that'll be quite cool, eh? Damn, I want to try it out. I wonder if it's waterproof.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Good question. So it rolls out at the end of April. That's in about a week's time. When will we see it here in South Africa? That's the question.
That is a good question. Usually these things take quite a few months to get you, actually, but I'm sure you can probably pick one up off of Amazon, or just by getting one of the latest. I'm sure by going to an Apple store here in South Africa you might be able to. I'm sure they wouldn't facilitate a global distribution of such a product.
Yeah, or at least pre-order.
No, absolutely. And speaking of Apple, they're launching their iOS 14.5 update next week. So that's going to mean, it's going to have the software required for the AirTag. It's going to have stuff that helps you, restore and back up. It's going to have upgrades and all sorts of things. But interestingly enough, one of the biggest changes is it's changing the information that it supplies to things like Facebook's SDK, which is a developer toolkit, in order to know what people are doing on your app through an ad. And they're changing a lot of those privacy settings. So for advertisers, it's going to be quite interesting trying to target Apple devices on iOS 14.5 and above, or 14.5 and above. And that is an issue that I will actually be facing, that I must try and figure out, which is quite an interesting debacle. But this kind of functionality is always going to be in a push and a pull kind of scenario, especially with privacy being so important, but advertiser accuracy being equally important, and someone like Apple or someone like Facebook trying to play the middle ground as to try and give advertisers the ability to target people without giving people the impression that they're being, completely looked through and having privacy exposed and personal information assumed and things like that. It's very interesting.
Very, very interesting indeed. And just before we get to some more music, MTN has reduced the price of prepaid data. The cost of 10 gigs of data, including another 1 or another 10 gig for use at certain times of the night, has been reduced to 149 Rand. The network operator's decision to slash prices comes a week after its rival Vodacom cut prepaid data prices by 14%. I like that. It's a good thing.
Yeah, no,
Data's
create
coming
competition.
down. Yeah.
Create the competition within the market, because these people are making massive profits on this.
Yeah.
Even, you consider an SMS. You're paying like 1 Rand for an SMS. The same kind of metered system is being implemented into something like data consumption. If you're someone using your phone to watch things like Netflix off of your computer, your poor wallet is going to have holes in it like Swiss cheese at the end of the day. Before you've even watched a single, movie, you'll go to V's Video and just try and pay with coins. It won't make it. Speaking of Netflix, actually, we after the next break, we will talk about how Netflix is actually having a subscriber decline over the last few months as people start getting optimistic about the vaccinations and coming out of their house and not watching as much Netflix.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, so about $25 billion were wiped off of Netflix's shares on the markets over the last few days.
Yo.
It's a lot of money. About 11% decline, but 25 billion just... And they say, we'll talk about it after the break.
Oh, okay, what they say. Okay, now I'm also curious. We'll be back right after this.
Your systems are offline.
eRadio Live, powered by TCS Wi-Fi.
We're back on Tech Thursday. It is 24 to 4 o'clock here on eRadio. Good afternoon to you if you just joined us. If you want to get in touch with the show, 081-060-1640. Kaine, you mentioned something very interesting. Well, you always mention a lot of interesting things, but just before the break, something particularly interesting.
Yeah, so Netflix is actually seeing a little bit of a reversal in their share prices, and it's believed that a lot of optimism is being created by the vaccines and potentially people not being stuck inside their house in a lockdown situation, and that's obviously correlating to Netflix seeing a decline in its share value. But more than that, obviously this catch-22 situation obviously happened for Netflix when people started signing up during the start of the pandemic. So during the start of the pandemic, they obviously would have started seeing a skyrocketing subscriber counts, but they weren't able to do any production filming. They weren't able to employ editors to do the editing, so they fell behind quite severely in their production line. So although they picked up a lot of users, they've at the same time not been able to produce enough content. And in doing so, when you give people a lot of time to watch your content, they start getting the impression that they've watched everything.
I see.
And you see what I'm saying? So Netflix is hopeful that some of their upcoming titles are going to bring back some subscribers, and sure to speak, they might. I mean, we've got some series that is relatively popular, like Money Heist, The Witcher, and a movie called Red Notice. These are all, titles that they believe are going to bring back some of their subscribers.
And Ozark, please.
Ozark would be nice as well.
Yeah,
that was a really
the final
good one.
season is coming, but obviously it's been delayed. And people are like, oh no, I can't wait. Because it looks like we're going to wait a really long time, like until next year.
So Netflix's expectations versus reality. Roughly 3.98 million people signed up for Netflix from January to March. Below the 6.25 million average projection of analysts surveyed by Refinit IV. Netflix estimated it will add just 1 million new streaming customers in the second quarter, which had previously been expected or forecasted to be nearly 4.8 million. So they've got significantly less sign-up numbers, and obviously you can't get confused and think, oh, well, January to March was the pandemic, yes, but we also had the whole of 2020 being the pandemic. So the whole of 2020, they're seeing growth rates increasing. January comes, vaccines start coming out, subscriber numbers start dropping, and then you see the ultimate reversal of Netflix shares, which sunk 11% in after-hours trading to about $489 a share, wiping $25 billion off of the company's market capitalization. Its stock has risen 27% over the past 12 months compared to a 63% increase in tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite Index. So they're definitely having a little bit of trouble right now. Because a year ago, Netflix added a record 15.8 million customers as the pandemic forced people around the world to stay home. So you've got 15.8 million versus roughly 3.98 million. It's not necessarily the projections that they would be hoping for, and as a result, they're losing shares, they're losing customers and things like that, which is going to have a negative effect on future production as a whole in any way. So it could be a catastrophic domino effect, or it could be an opportunity for a significant revival. Rival media companies have declared streaming their priority and are spending billions to compete with Netflix. So they have competition every which way they're looking. High competition. People want content, gross content. They want to consume content. They want new funny things when they want new funny things. They want new action movies when they want action movies, romance and all that stuff. But Walt Disney's Disney Plus crossed 100 million subscribers in March. Netflix's total streaming customers stood at 207 million at the end of March. 207 million subscribers. Can you believe it, eh? All paying 160 rand.
At least.
And then you can't film. So you got money, but you can't film.
Oof, no, that is terrible.
Catch-22.
So I understand it Catch-22 for sure, and I understand why people are cancelling their subscriptions, or maybe they're coming back. They're just waiting a couple of months, before.
Absolutely. And the unfortunate truth is, if Netflix wants to hit their estimated or their targeted gross revenue, and they're not going to do that by facilitating more customers than expected, the only way that they can reach that revenue is by increasing their price for monthly subscriptions. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult for them right now to try and figure out, do we up subscription costs? Do we up advertising to get new customers in on a downtrending market insofar as people aren't necessarily getting ready to wait at home and get a new streaming budget or service,
I don't want to discourage people from using Netflix, but that is actually quite a good idea, because what I'm finding at the moment, Kaine, is I'm re-watching shows on Netflix because, well, I'm waiting for new seasons to be released of the shows. I can easily download those shows. I have access to those hush-hush sites where you can watch movies and series that you don't, but I don't. It's just too much effort for me.
It is, and some of the shows are Netflix originals, so it's impossible to even find it. And I think their downfall was also an advantage at a stage where they released an entire season, bang, in one go. You come there, all 20 episodes are available for you to watch, so you watch them in a week. And then what?
Some people watch that in a day, or over
day,
a weekend.
and then they want season 2. Now you're got
right.
less than a month past, and they're ready for season 2.
You're right, yeah. That's why they're probably releasing. I see some of the shows, they release them in little bits.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do with Ozark as well. 2 parts.
I think that's the only way to make
a good
it
idea,
last,
actually.
because they have to break it up and bring back this anticipation. Because when you were traditionally anticipating a new episode in your favorite series, you've built this customization that, okay, I'm going to wake up on Wednesday and my newest episode of my favorite TV show is going to be available at 7 p.m.
Yeah, it's almost like TV. You have a set time and you look forward to it next week.
And then you spend 6 months watching the whole series, and in that time, the production has time to catch up. 3 months later,
and the time is shorter in between, yeah. You're absolutely right. So yeah, I am finding myself rewatching a lot of stuff at the moment on Netflix. The reason being, I'm not getting original content.
Have you watched that Love and Monsters?
No.
It's a new show on Netflix, really good.
Is it good? Okay, so maybe I need new recommendations.
Well, that one's a really good one, but some shows on Netflix you can rewatch. I think they are good enough to rewatch, but others are just one-time hits, say.
I'm rewatching Schitt's Creek.
Oh, that's a good one.
For the 4th or 5th time already. I love it. You, David.
I think I've watched Modern Family about 10 times.
Same here. I'm waiting for season 11 to be on Netflix in South Africa. It's not here yet, the final season.
What's interesting about some of those series that go on till 11 or 12 seasons is I feel they miss out on what they actually diverge so far away from what initially made them so good.
Yep.
Big Bang Theory, you got a total 180 from the start of the series.
Absolutely.
Modern Family, total 180.
Modern Family missed it later on. I think after season 7 or so, I lost complete interest. It wasn't funny. It wasn't that funny anymore. No. I don't know what it was like the writers hit a stumbling block.
They get caught out. I think it also has to do with writers and the production company wants to make people happy, so they look for consensus as to what people want to see, and they see that this crowd of people want this and this person to get together, and this crowd of people want this to happen to this person, and then they try and bring this into the show. But meanwhile, it's that actual you wanting to change the outcome of the show that makes you so invested, because it's not in your control, it's not predictable, and that's the route that a lot of it goes. It becomes predictable.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've seen a series where suddenly they're like 2 people are now married and there's a child, and now you're watching this whole thing unfold. I mean, even with How I Met Your Mother, towards the end, it's completely 180.
Yep.
It doesn't encompass what was initially so fantastic.
No, they go off track completely. But there's a lot of interference in that process, the writing process. They can't just write what they want.
Absolutely.
It's usually they say it's what the networks want, So if they want these 2 to get married, they've got to get married.
And what's super interesting is, I don't know if you remember Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. That was directed by Sam Raimi. Mm-hmm. And in number 3, it wasn't supposed to be this big mashup of multiple villains. So you had Sam Raimi, who was creating a villain for the production, which was Venom, but he knew absolutely nothing about Venom. So you have this high-tier production value movie that's being created to include villains because that's what the people want, and the person who manages that production, the director, doesn't actually understand the villain, and then they produce this video, spend millions on it, and fans are up in arms and aggro and things like that. I think there's a lot of pressure in the movie industry.
But can we just say that there is one show that really, really, from the start right until the end, it was the best, and that is Breaking Bad.
Oh, I've only watched the first 2 seasons.
Okay, can we swap, please? It is so good. I actually wish that somebody gave me memory loss so I can rewatch it.
Really?
Can't you just slap
me?
It's so, and I can just watch it again.
It was it was heavy to watch the first season.
The first one is very heavy.
It was a bit gruesome.
I know exactly. I almost stopped watching there, but carry on.
Really?
It is brilliant. It becomes a bit lighter later on.
Okay.
But it is so good. I mean, I always had people saying, "Hey, Breaking Bad, have you watched Breaking Bad?" And I was like, no, I don't have time for that shit. And then you go to season 1, and then it was so gruesome, and I almost stopped. But I'm so glad I pulled through. No, it is so good. It is a masterpiece.
I'll give it a try. But you know what might also be very interesting? If some of our listeners wanted to send through a WhatsApp and tell us what their favorite show on Netflix, like their all-time favorite show, whether they saw it on
somebody
Netflix.
already did that.
What is that?
Okay, I've got The Office here.
Okay, The Office is really good.
The Office, I still have to watch The Office.
It's like bland humor, but
beyond
it's brilliant.
season 1. Yeah, I battled to get into The Office. I don't know why.
It is very it's like quiet humor, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like the humor you kind of have to pick up on.
And these awkward camera shots. What is it? Mockumentary style?
A mockumentary,
yes.
Absolutely.
And then 0776 saying Love and Monsters is amazing. Also RuPaul, is that the drag show?
Yeah.
And Brooklyn Nine-Nine are great re-binging shows. I've heard some good stuff about Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Have you never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No.
It's right up there with Modern Family and How I Met Your
Is it
Mother
on
and
SA
Big Bang.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, it must be on my list. You should see my list. I'm going to get through that list. It is a huge list. It's a huge list. But anyway, you just mentioned Netflix. Showmax actually dropped their monthly subscription fee now. They've got a Showmax mobile plan. They dropped it by 20% from 49 per month.
It's called
49
a desperate
rand,
discount.
to 39 rand per month in South Africa. That is, 39 rand per month. For a full month,
you could allow a charge like that without
it's
charging.
one rand 25 a day.
How do they make money from that?
So I was just wondering, are they really? They say no, we're doing it because we know consumers are under pressure at the moment. I'm wondering, are they doing that because consumers are under pressure, or are they under pressure at the moment?
They're totally under pressure, but they also have
It's a bit of a giveaway.
terrible taste. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gone to Showmax.
The Showmax lineup is awful.
Oh, it's terrible. And they've got this mentality of Netflix. Now, Netflix has 200 million monthly subscribers. They have a lot of content on there, but it's all high quality. You can't go and put low quality in and amongst high quality and expect consumers to... Because the minute you feel like what you're watching isn't actually good, like you're going to the next show expecting something great. Now, 3 out of 5 shows are horrible, very poorly filmed, very local, you know?
Yeah,
you don't want to watch that.
It's usually very local on Showmax. I'm finding at the moment Showmax turned more into an archive of old South African stuff.
Yeah, it's like the Bollywood for SA.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't like it.
No.
I
And-
cancelled mine years ago, actually.
No, it wasn't even worth it. And I
No.
think the only alternative... I mean, let's be objective here for a second. If you went to Showmax and there were 10 shows that you could watch, only 10, 10 series and maybe 30 movies, are you more likely to cancel your subscription than if there were 150 movies and 300 TV shows, but 50% of them were just garbage? I mean, what is more likely to make you cancel your subscription? It's probably, in my opinion, it would be this mental opinion that it comes out that, okay, everything on Showmax is poor quality. Because I know I've watched 1 or 2 things on Showmax that are good, but thinking back, I just remember all of these terrible shows. No one wants to spend an hour and a half watching a bad movie. I mean, that's why you go to Netflix, because you see something like Love and Monsters and you watch it and it's flippin' epic. It's like it's a complete package. And then you go to Showmax and it sounds like Love and Monsters title, the picture's great, it looks like you're going to have a total jaw watching it, and it's just absolute trash. It's like the worst thing you've ever watched.
Yeah, and that's
You know?
when I get so upset, because I really don't have a lot of time to watch Netflix, and then when I watch something crappy, I feel cheated.
But
and I feel...
You know what? I would have been super happy with a Showmax subscription, because when I went to Joburg, I stayed at a B&B, but they didn't have Netflix or Showmax or
just
DSTV.
not even DSTV.
SABC 1, 2, 3, 4, and ETV.
No!
The quality of content there is totally worse.
And don't forget
than
the ad
Showmax.
breaks. Every 3 minutes, an ad break.
It's horrific. And I watched this one video. I remember I turned it on and I was like falling in and out of sleep, and I was watching it. It was about like some South African drug dealer guy that was like operating his whole life, and I was like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
But
So
their
I would have
budgets are so small. You
I would
can
have
see
killed.
that.
I would have killed for a Showmax subscription
Yeah,
then.
even
and
just-
for 39 rand, I mean, Netflix is 150, 5 times less.
Yeah.
It makes sense to anybody.
You're right.
If you have only SABC, if you only have that, and that is total rubbish movies and TV, and you can find some good stuff maybe on the Sunday Night Movie, which is a movie that is 10 years old, and it's a Goldie, but it's 10 years old. You're way better off just getting a Showmax subscription.
Yeah.
Or even just go on your phone, buy 150 rands worth of data and just watch YouTube. You're going to have a better experience.
Yeah. I've had some more entries on WhatsApp. Ozark, absolutely. Have you seen Ozark?
Yeah, Goldie.
So we're waiting for another season, the final season. Grace and Frankie, man, I love that show. Have you seen that?
It's a brilliant show.
Have you seen it?
It's the perfect, like...
Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, that chemistry they have on screen, it's brilliant.
So good.
You can see that they've been friends for years and years. It
totally.
it translates
the
onto
whole
the screen.
cast just does a great job of creating this.
It is so
story.
funny. It is so funny. And naughty. Very naughty.
Yeah.
And then Bridgerton.
Never watched Bridgerton.
I don't know,
What is...
No. I didn't even finish Bridgerton. It was so awkward. I was watching it with my mom, and then one of those first scenes, there was people doing things against a tree, and I was like, no. And then we moved on.
That's what they might say about Game of Thrones, to which I have still not watched, but apparently it is very good.
Are you also one of the 1% of Earth's population that haven't watched Game of Thrones? Because then we've got two in the room.
Yeah, I know. My logic is it's going to take a long time for me to absorb that whole story.
And to get into it as well, yeah that's the problem.
As far as I know nothing about it, but as far as I know, has like a couple of people who love Game of Thrones are listening to this frothing at the mouth right now. But I just see it as like a bunch of kingdoms that are living in some olden day time, and it's like got dragons, and like it sounds like a very cool thing, but looks like it's a deep dive.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, I totally agree with you. I'm also part of that 1% of the population that I haven't seen it. I've seen bits and pieces.
I know the winter is coming meme. And I feel like that is about it of my experience. Okay, but there are some shows like that are just good. I mean, The Witcher. The Witcher is on Netflix. And I saw it, and I know it is a game. It used to be a game. It used to be a PC novelty game. Well, not necessarily a novelty, a high production, but a PC game nonetheless. And they turned it into a series on Netflix. And now Netflix is talking about the next season of Witcher being one of their primary new series that are coming out in 2021 that they feel will up their subscriber counts, and that's based on a video game.
Wow, that's cool. I got Superstore as well. Have you seen
Brilliant.
Superstore?
Totally.
It's also a light-hearted
Off the Boat.
Kind
have
of
you seen that?
Watch. No, I haven't seen that. Bloodline is also very good.
Never watched that.
Bloodline, if it's almost like Ozark vibes. New Amsterdam, the new hospital drama. I haven't seen that. The IT Crowd, brilliant.
That's a good show.
I showed you a clip one night.
No, that's good.
Yes, that's
very British humor,
yes,
IT humor.
Yes,
great
Parks and
techies.
Recreation. I've seen bits and pieces of that as well.
Reminds me of Community.
Yes, that kind of stuff. And then one of the rare gems on there is Toast of London.
Never seen it.
It doesn't even show up. You have to dive in there and go and get it. It's so funny. Matt Berry, that guy's funny. I was introduced to him on the IT Crowd, which is not just about computers. It sounds like it, but it's not.
I'm going to be listening back to this podcast, taking notes.
Yeah, you must. And then Toast of London. It's funny. Just a couple of episodes, but it's really good. They're making new episodes later this year. Toast in America is now going to Hollywood, apparently, trying to make it there. It's a struggling actor. It's brilliant. It's very funny.
No, this definitely. I mean, I'm even interested to see what good shows people are watching on some of Netflix's competitors. Like, tell me a good Showmax show.
Yeah, what is a good show on Showmax to watch? I think they've also got Modern Family.
Amazon Prime has a good one. I mean, they have the Grand Prime, which is Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Jim Hammond from the original Top Gear cast, creating their new version of Top Gear. I know a lot of people haven't watched that, but it's absolutely brilliant. It is really good. And that's kind of where the list on Amazon kind of slows down. They have The Boys, which is like a very dark kind of show, but it's still high production quality. I mean, I'm definitely interested to hear what people... I mean, you gotta... For Amazon and Showmax to even compete with Netflix. We just had a full-on 5 to 10 minute discussion on shows that we like a lot on Netflix, and it took us 10 minutes to get through the list.
Yeah.
I mean, on Amazon Prime, my list is finished after 3, and on Showmax it's like -1. I actually have to give a good show to get a good one out.
I just don't know how you survived a night. Was it a night watching SABC on TV?
No.
It is just, that's awful. Eh?
Have you ever had one of those nights where you're in and out of sleep so much that it becomes half a dream state? And I had this weird dream state evening where like in and out of SABC, very odd. I wouldn't watch it. I'd watch Showmax over Netflix.
Yeah, but I mean the SABC, no doubt, they're battling big time, and you can see that in their content. There's no money to make content.
Well, the fact that they want to make Netflix pay for their TV subscription licenses, I mean...
Yeah, I think hopefully that thing's just going to be swept under the carpet, that whole story. I don't think it's going to happen. Eh?
We need a new SABC, to be honest. We need like Mzansi Africa or something.
I'm still not watching, bro. I'm still not watching. Kaine, that was another great, very eventful Tech Thursday today, featuring the lawn mowers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, full on guest
appearance today. Yes, absolutely. So next Thursday we'll do it again between 3 and 4.
Absolutely.
And you out here already? You're gonna run now to your next meeting?
Yeah,
busy guy.
Gotta keep the motor running, eh?
Yes, gotta keep it running until we do Tech Thursday again next week.